Good morning. This is another reading, Madcap Family Book 1, and this is episode 42. The last time we read, Tom, Annie's husband, might get to work with Nick permanently and live close. Kara woke up from the coma. So, episode 42, Ultrasound. A 4D ultrasound. The tech made them a CD. Let me make sure the volume's up. There we go. The tech made them a CD to take home to their family. Stella and Alden could hardly wait for the family to see the wonder of a 4D ultrasound. Later, when the family looked at the CD, they were amazed. Ben got off the couch. He moved closer to the giant TV. He sat on the floor with his knees bent, staring at the screen. When the CD ended, he asked for the remote. He restarted the CD, watching it over and over. After he watched it 3 times, he turned to his parents. I think I finally know what I want to be when I grow up. I want to specialize in multiple births. I want to be an OBGYN. Stella and Alden looked at each other, then back at their son. He had never shown much interest in his future. He was never sure what he wanted to do with his life. Today, he had a fire in him that they had never seen before. That is a lot of schooling, Ben. You sure you want to take that on? You have always been a straight A student, so your grades will help you get into any college with no problem. But we are talking years and years of schooling, Alden informed Ben. Ben nodded. I want to go do some research right now. I want to do this. I want to help babies come into this world, including twins. Well, multiple births are amazing to me. This is what I want, Ben stated with absolute certainty. Ben headed for his computer to start his research. Alden looked down at Stella. It is a good thing we started college funds for all these kids. I have a feeling this is going to get very expensive. Stella nodded. Yes, but honey, did you see his face? Never in my life have I seen Ben so motivated. He does his homework, his chores, he goes through life not really making waves. Now in the ninth grade, he figures out what he wants to be when he grows up. Stella could not believe that their ultrasound had led to this. Alden nodded in agreement. Remember, kids change their minds, but we must keep encouraging him to get good grades because a scholarship is going to be a must. Plus, I'm going to start adding more to his college fund. If it doesn't all get used, then we pass it down to the next kid, etc., etc., Alden said. Episode 42. Above and all else, read. Stella could not believe how fast life seemed to be going. It was like a speeding train that she could not get off of. AJ is now in the 10th grade, Ben in the ninth, so those two boys are back in the same school together, high school. Caleb, David, and Elijah all went to the 6th grade. Caleb and David passed because Elijah tutored them. He very verbally tutored them. Elijah started sitting down with Caleb and David, making them read to him, and he helped them with their homework. When the boys protested because they were trying to get out of reading, Stella put the kibosh on their argument quite effectively. We don't want to read to our younger brother. It is it's stupid, Caleb argued. Elijah spoke up. If you read more, you would perhaps be able to say the word humiliating. David glared at Elijah. Also, stop saying wanna. It is want to, Elijah stated. Ma, why do we have to read with Elijah? Like Caleb said, it is humiliating. David dragged out the last word sarcastically. Stella spoke up. Well, let's think about this. You two almost did not make it through the 5th grade. Your younger brother would have moved on up to the 6th grade, and you would be repeating the 5th grade. Now, that, in my opinion, would be humiliating, Stella stated. Caleb and David eyed each other in horror. They knew that they could never let their baby brother pass them in school. Elijah sighed. I did not mind helping you pass the 5th grade, but I do not have to be the one to read with you. Reading is a firm foundation for learning. If you cannot read, you cannot understand the directions that the teachers are giving you. You will be unable to move forward doing future assignments if you are struggling with words and their meaning, Elijah announced. Elijah really got excited throwing out his last statement to Caleb and David. In order to be excellent students, you must be excellent readers. Elijah was losing his cool. That did not happen too often. He even thumped his fist on the table to get his point across. Stella shrugged. There you have it, boys. What is it going to be? I am more than willing to help you. Your dad is more than willing to help you. You have all of us ready at your disposal. In fact, we can rotate and take turns. How about that? Stella asked them. Caleb and David thought about it for a bit. They had identical expressions of disgust on their faces. Excuse me, my mouth is really dry. Sorry. There we go. Coffee fixes everything. They had identical expressions of disgust on their faces. Both boys were dressed the same again. They were wearing orange shirts with White Cloud Indians emblazoned across the front. They had on their black jeans and their black tennis shoes. They wore their school colors a lot. Stella noticed that their crazy cowlicks were getting long. The cowlicks rested on each side of their foreheads, forcing their hair to come to a point in the front. Stella kept their hair short just for that reason. David finally spoke up. No offense, Mom. At least Elijah has way more patience than you or Dad. Elijah even write David stated. Elijah even writes words on the wall, puts them up there, the ones we do not get. Then we keep going back to that word. Once we get that word down good, he puts a sticker in a notebook next to our names. You have never done that, Mom, Caleb accused. Stella looked confused. She turned to Elijah. What are the stickers for? She questioned. David and Caleb shook their heads in disgust. She has no idea what the stickers are for, David said caustically. David continued, Plus, it is not like we have to tell anyone that Elijah is tutoring us, David stated. Caleb and David turned to Elijah. Just between us, right, bro? Caleb asked. Elijah looked them straight in the eye. Who would I tell? We are brothers. Brothers stick together through thick and thin. Elijah leaned in real close, whispering to the twins. That includes reading, Elijah told them. Sheesh, Mom, Caleb ranted. No matter how embarrassing it is having our younger brother tutor us, we are going to keep Elijah. Elijah glared at Caleb's language. Going to stick with Elijah. At least he has a vision. He motivates us. Caleb gestured wildly as he groused at his mother's ineptitude. Stella's mouth gaped open. Wait, what are the stickers for? I do so have vision. Caleb and David were already leaving. She was talking to their retreating backs. Stella turned to Elijah. She raised an eyebrow. Elijah sighed again and then smiled, one of those rare smiles. Mom, I use sight words. I put them up on the wall. They can look to the wall when they struggle with that word. It is proven to be effective. I use the notebook for positive reinforcement. They get so many stickers a week, they get a prize. Stella looked confused. What is the prize? Elijah smiled again, this time mischievously. That is up to you and Dad. I am taking the time to teach them. You two get to come up with their prizes. You choose. However, my suggestion would be Pokemon cards. Stella was dumbfounded. Stella placed her hands on her hips, trying to look severe, but her rounded belly subtracted from the effect. This is not positive reinforcement, son. This is bribery. I do believe, Stella giggled. Elijah turned back to his mother. By the way, you guys owe them 2 prizes apiece, Elijah informed her. As Elijah started to walk away, Stella's giggle turned into outright laughter. Elijah turned. He decided to give his mom one more fantastic smile. Stella held out her arms for a hug. Elijah shrugged and stepped into her arms. When Stella stepped back, she could not believe how tall he was getting. He really was catching up to Caleb and David. I just want you to know, Elijah, that on the day that you were born, God gave me the gift of you. You are amazing and wonderful. I love your mind and how it works. I love how you know the things you know, even though I do not know how you know all the things that you know. That was 6 no's, Mom. Elijah smiled again. Well, all I know is that all my children have a special place in my heart. There are certain things that I love about each and every one of you. Elijah thought for a moment. He seemed to hesitate. Sometimes, Mom, I wish I was normal, Elijah whispered. Stella gasped. Why would you think you are not normal, Elijah? I feel like I am a square peg trying to fit into a round hole. I feel like I do not exactly fit, Elijah stated. Elijah, never feel that way. You are amazing. No matter what you decide to do in your life, I know that you will succeed. But you must keep being you. Make sure that you do not just read. Do not make learning everything. You must have balance. Elijah looked puzzled. What could be better than learning? Stella went on to say, I love watching you play volleyball and baseball. You are so good at those sports. The goats follow you around like you're their family. The chickens walk up to you and let you pet them. You have a way with animals. That is an impressive connection that should never be underestimated. Animals get me. They do not ask me much, Mom. They just want love and affection. That is easy. I have been thinking lately that when I grow up, I would very much like to be a veterinarian, Elijah stated. Being good with animals is not as easy as you might think. Your father is terrified of horses, but you never heard that from me. I think you becoming a vet is a fantastic idea, Stella said. Elijah looked shocked. Wait, what? I've always wondered why we did not have work horses for the farm. We have 400 acres. Horses can go places that quads and snowmobiles cannot go. Stella nodded. Your dad got thrown when he was a boy. Pop had horses to work the farm, but after your dad got thrown, he would not get back on. He never got over his fear of them. Elijah was amazed. What caused the horse to throw him? Elijah questioned. Your dad's second worst fear, Stella answered. Surprise flitted across Elijah's face. I did not think Dad was ever afraid of anything, let alone 2 things. What is his second fear that caused the horse to toss him? Elijah asked. Stella smiled. She whispered again, Your dad is also terrified of snakes, even little old baby ones. Stella snickered. Snakes? You are not afraid of them, Mom? Hey, I'm not going to lie. If I know they are there, I am okay. I don't like to be surprised by them. But I do not scream and climb people to get away from them, Stella claimed. Elijah looked confused. Climb people? What do you mean by climb people? Elijah questioned. Stella debated telling him this next part. When your dad and I were 16, we were out baling hay. Your dad went into the bushes to relieve himself, and he startled a puffer snake. They are totally harmless, but they rear up their heads. They puff out like a cobra. I heard a commotion. I got to the edge of the bushes, and your dad jumped out and into my arms like a bride being carried on her wedding day. Elijah was laughing so hard he was twinkling. It was so contagious. They both were laughing outrageously when Alden walked in. Alden paused, seeing Elijah laughing out loud. It made Alden smile. As he sat down, he looked back and forth between the two of them. What is so funny? They both laughed harder. Elijah smacked the table, loving the fact that his dad was clueless. No, really. What is so funny? Alden asked again. Elijah got up, laughing all the way out of the room. He even snorted. Stella turned to Alden. Private joke, babe, between me and Elijah. How was your day? Alden shook his head in confusion. Good. Cows are happy, chickens are laying, stupid chickens and ducks are following me around like I'm their mama, Alden said in disgust. Stella laughed. When the hawks or eagles start flying too close to their field, the chickens and ducks would huddle under Alden for protection. He could not even take a step. When Alden would walk from the house to the barn or vice versa, the ducks and chickens would follow him back and forth, quacking and talking to him all the way. Stella squeezed Alden's cheeks. That is because you are so pretty. They love you madly, just like I do, Stella purred. Alden grimaced. Probably why I cannot bring myself to eat a single one of them, Alden said with disgust. You do not have a problem with eating the pigs or the cows, Stella stated. That is totally different. I am very careful not to make friends with either of them critters. I am a carnivore. I love steak and bacon, Alden announced. Alden leaned forward. Stella, you and I both know that all of them chickens, ducks, and goats are all going to die of old age. Not a one of them is ever going to be food, not with Franny around. Stella looked around to make sure Franny was nowhere near them. Hun, why do you think we must put the cows down on the sly? It is the one and only time I lie to her and tell her that we sold Bubba. How can our one little girl name all those cows? She recognizes each and every one of them, Stella exclaimed. Alden tilted his head at his wife. Maybe you better stop writing their names on the packages. Maybe switch to initials or something. Alden grinned at his wife. Alden slanted a look at her. Your sister is right. You are kind of a sicko, Alden stated. Stella growled at Alden, but she supposed he was right. After all, Franny could read now, thanks again to Elijah. What is for dinner? I'm starving, Alden asked. Stella opened the freezer. We have cow, and oh yeah, more cow. How about cow? Alden smirked. Cow it is, he agreed. Alden jumped up to help with dinner. They turned on Elvis. Alden used a spoon as a microphone, and Stella grabbed the spatula. They sang at the top of their lungs. They finished the song with a flourish. They both jumped when all the kids started cheering and clapping. They had been so engrossed in their duet, they had not heard them come downstairs. Then AJ started singing. Somehow, he knew this Elvis song. AJ put some Elvis drawl into the song. Then all the kids jumped in and sang along. Man, their kids could really sing. How did you all know that song? This is an old song, not from your generation at all. Well, come to think of it, it's not even from my generation, Stella said. Ben shook his head. You two play that song all the time. That is why we all know it by heart, Ben stated. Besides, Mom, Dad, I think pretty much I think pretty much everyone knows who Elvis was, AJ stated. Alden leaned closer to Stella. Do all families just burst into song, or are we just special? He questioned. Stella shook her head, unsure of that answer. Well, I love that our kids just burst into song. That they are fearless and not afraid to look foolish, Stella replied. Not that we look foolish. We are all way too cool for that, Stella stated as she outrageously made two thumbs up. As she gestured her two thumbs up, her big belly swayed, making the kids laugh. Yeah, dudes, we are cool as cucumbers, Alden stated as he waved a cucumber around. The kids continued to snicker. Our parents are nerds, Caleb stated while laughing. AJ put his fingers up, drawing a square in the air at his parents. Ben mimicked his father. Yuck, dudes, we be smoking hot on fire, but cool as them thar pickles. A yuck, duh, Ben mocked. Alden laughed, tossed the cucumber, and took off after Ben. Ben shot out the front door. Alden was good for a sprint, but Ben was fast. Ben could outdistance his dad, and once he got away, the boy just kept going. He was a streak of blue heading across the field. He did not even stop to look behind him. He just pumped his arms and legs wildly. No wonder the kid excelled in track. Stella and the kids came out on the front porch. AJ, Can you please take the quad and go get your brother? If you don't stop him, he is going to run all the way to White Cloud." AJ nodded and took off after Ben. Alden was bent over, wheezing, trying to catch his breath. "I almost," gasped, "had him. I swear," gasped. "When I grabbed for him, I felt his shirt slip right through my fingers," Alden stated. Caleb and David circled their father, eyeing him up and down. "You think he's gonna drop dead, David?" Caleb scorned. "Maybe, Caleb. He's wheezing like he's 90 years old," David laughed. "Hey, Dad, see that rocking chair on the porch? Maybe you better go sit in it so you can catch your breath. Maybe you need an inhaler or oxygen," Caleb crowed. Alden seemed to be wheezing harder. Stella got a bit worried. Then she realized that Alden was faking. He was reeling those boys in, getting ready to pounce. Sure enough, they got a bit braver and got caught in their dad's trap. Caleb stepped forward and boldly poked his dad in the chest. "You want me to do CPR on you, Dad?" Caleb snickered. David stepped closer also. He put one finger on his dad's bicep and pushed. "Dad is so old, I bet I can push him down with one finger," David mocked. Suddenly, both boys realized that their dad was not wheezing anymore. It had gotten incredibly quiet. David and Caleb looked at each other, too afraid to look towards their now silent father. Slowly their heads turned. Their eyes were level with their father's chest. They quickly realized how incredibly close he was standing to them. Their eyes lifted slowly until they reached their father's eyes. He had a glint in his eye that they knew well. They were dead meat. Their eyes went wide. They started to turn, to sprint away, but it was too late. They were caught. Alden snagged a hold of both boys, putting each of them in a headlock. "So, you think I'm old? You think I need a rocking chair? You think just because I cannot catch Ben that he won't wonder when I'll get even?" The boys were laughing hysterically. They tried everything to get free, but they were not going anywhere. Not until their dad was ready to let them go. "Uncle, Uncle, Dad," both boys yelled. Alden shook his head. "Nope, I did not tell you to say uncle. Tell us, just tell us, we'll say it, whatever it is." Still the boys gasped with laughter between each word. Alden remembered the two girls that kept calling the house for Caleb and David. "Caleb, tell me you love Miranda," Alden teased. "Never. I do not like her. I would rather stay in this headlock for life. And you stink, Dad. You smell like a sweat stain." "What about you, David? Tell me you love Susie." "Dad, no way. Yuck. I'm with Caleb. I will live in your armpit for the rest of my life and live on sweat." Alden sighed. "Well, okay. I need to go to the bathroom. Let's go, boys." Alden started dragging the boys towards the house. Franny stood on the porch with a big smile on her face. "If you guys are smart, you better confess your love for Miranda and Susie, or you're going to die a slow, painful death," Franny promised. Caleb mumbled. "What was that, son? What'd you say? I did not hear you." "I said that I love Miranda. There, are you happy? Now let me go." Caleb gasped, still trying not to laugh. David quickly jumped on board, too. "Okay, okay, I love Susie. Let me go," David giggled. Alden released them. Everyone heard the quad returning. The boys jumped off. Ben eyed his dad nervously. "What's going on here?" Ben asked. David and Caleb looked at Ben. "Trust me. Just tell him you love Gemma and get it over with," Caleb stated. Stella perked up. "Who is Gemma?" she questioned. Ben blushed. Alden stalked towards Ben to give him some of the same treatment as Caleb and David. Ben threw up his hands. "I love Gemma! I love Gemma!" Ben hollered quickly. Alden stopped. He put his arm around Ben. Ben tried to duck away, not sure what his dad was going to do to him. "So jumpy. I was just being affectionate, son. I was just walking you into the house so we can all sit down and have a nice meal together." Everyone went inside. Sorry, excuse me. I don't know what's going on this morning. Okay. Everyone went inside. Stella followed behind. But who is Gemma? I don't remember anyone ever mentioning a Gemma, Stella stated. AJ turned to his mom. She is in the 11th grade. She is extremely hot, and she seems to like our Ben here, AJ replied. Stella's mouth dropped open. An 11th grader? Oh, I do not think so, Benjamin, Stella stormed. Stella started slinging steaks onto everyone's plate. She reached for the mashed potatoes, slamming large spoonfuls with gusto. Stella slid salad bowls down the table at a great rate of speed. Everyone grabbed them quickly to intercept them. The rolls she tossed individually to each one of them, still going on about the evil pursuit of a certain girl trying to influence her young innocent son. What is this world coming to? Girls are far too forward, in my opinion, Stella growled. Stella sat down. Her eyes scanned the table. Everyone's jaws were slightly dropped. None of them even blinked, all staring at Stella like she lost her mind. Stella eyed her handiwork. Everyone's plates were bursting with food. Even Franny's plate was heaped with a mountain of mashed potatoes, a huge steak, green beans, a side salad, and a giant yeast roll. Franny's big blue eyes peered over her huge plate of food. She shook her head in awe. I will not be needing any seconds tonight. Thank you very much. I may not eat for a whole week, Franny stated. Stella sighed. She grabbed Franny's plate and took 3/4 of the food off. Sorry, sweetie. Mama got a little bit nutty there for a minute. All this boyfriend girlfriend stuff makes me crazy. Franny nodded like she totally got it. I get it, Mama. Love does that to you. Bobby Brisbane makes me just as crazy. Franny rolled her eyes, then she picked up her spoon and dug into her mountain of potatoes. Alden scowled. He stiffened up, his eyes boring holes into Franny's adorable face. She did not notice his scowl. She was too focused on her food. Who is Bobby Brisbane? Should I be worried here? Alden asked Franny. Franny shook her head no. We play chase on the playground. The boys chase us girls, then we chase the boys. One day, Bobby Brisbane tagged me, and he put his arms around me and kissed me right on the lips, Franny said. Alden looked furious. He squeezed his hand shut, crushing his spoon. The boys were all snickering, seeing how disturbed their father was. Franny kept talking, not realizing her father was losing it. So, I told Bobby Brisbane that I wasn't too sure about that whole kissing thing. Franny waved her fork and knife around, gesturing like a diva. She tilted her head with a sardonic look on her face. Alden was still frowning. Then what happened, Franny? Alden growled. Francine tilted her head the other way, giving her father a profoundly serious look. Francine stopped waving her silverware. She still held her silverware, but rested them calmly on the table. Fork and knife pointed towards the ceiling. Well, Daddy, I told him to kiss me one more time. So I could see what I thought of kissing, Francine said seriously. Stella put her finger up at Alden to stop him from whatever he was about to do or say. So what happened next, baby girl? Stella asked. Franny shook her head, her chestnut curls bouncing around as she scrunched her nose. She was making her yucky face. I told him we would just have to be friends. He is not my kind of guy. Most definitely not the kind of guy I would want for a boyfriend, Franny informed them all, rolling her eyes. Stella nodded at Franny. That's nice, dear, Stella said quietly. Stella glanced over at Alden to see how he was taking all of this. Alden was fighting to hold back. He had a permanent scowl on his face. Stella smiled. She reached over and picked up his mangled spoon. She gently handed him a new one. Just think, honey, 2 more beautiful girls to worry about. You better toughen up, dear, Stella teased. Alden's eyes glinted. He just grunted, cutting his steak fiercely. He stuffed a huge piece in his mouth, mumbling, grumbling, and rolling his steak around angrily. All right. Thanks for listening today, and you all have a great day. And watch out for the next episode. Bye.